Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of Bring the Hat. And this title for today's podcast is Hold the Rope. What's up, Coach Bruno? How you doing?
How's it going, man? I'm just sitting here holding the rope with my grandmother and my mother here, and saying, part of being a man is I was raised by two women. My mom had me at 15, and her mom was basically raising the child and me. So two women taught me how to be a real man. And
That's
fear
awesome.
God and all that, and so there's a lot to it. So I think part of the reason I'm a good father is because of the way they raised me.
That's awesome. So I think what we'll go ahead and do is just go through a couple of these questions about Hold the Rope. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. That's fun stuff.
All right. So what exactly are the origins of Hold the Rope, and how did it come with you with your first? You've been using it since you've been coaching, right?
Yes. Well, it was my first theme the first year. When I got the job at Mandarin High School, they hadn't had a tremendous amount of success. And we went to camp, and they said, "Where's Mandarin? Are you guys from Miami?" And they don't even know what city we're from. So, we said, "Hey, when I leave here, everybody in the state of Florida, everybody in the country is going to know where Mandarin High School is." That's what I told the team. I said, "We're going to do that because we're going to hold a rope for each other." Okay, and what that means is this. If say that you're on the edge of a cliff, like the old Rock Mountain movies, with the cliffhanger, and you're holding up there, but you have a rope, okay? Everything breaks, your harness breaks, and you're over the cliff. And the only thing between you and certain death, thousands of feet down, is somebody on the other side of that rope up there, your buddy, that's holding that rope. Well, that rope's not easy. You're swinging there and was waiting for help. Well, how many people will hold that rope for you? If it starts bleeding, his hands start burning, start getting blisters, a lot of people are going to let go of it when things get hard.
For sure.
Okay? Or say they start scooting towards that edge. Are they going to go over with you, or are they going to let that rope go? You're the end of that, and you're counting on that guy to hold that rope for you. And you as a man, how are you going to hold that rope in life? If your hands start burning, at home, you're going to walk out on your wife. If you and your wife start fighting, you're just going to quit on your family. If things aren't going your way, you're just going to quit. No, you're going to hold that rope. And that's the analogy we use through football, that is life, because the lessons you learn in football are life lessons. That's to this day, 100%, that's what they are. So, what I told my team was, when you can look up there in that rope, and you can look at that guy there, that guy there, and that guy there. It doesn't matter what color he's from, what color he is, where he's from, what project he's from, or what mansion he's from. It doesn't matter. You want to be able to have everybody in this team can. If you would say anybody in this team in this locker room, I want holding that rope for me, you'll be a championship team. Okay, and that's what you got to do. You got to love each other. You got to hold the rope. You got to fight through adverse times, and you got to build strong through adversity. I loved adverse situations. It made you better. Our team would hold the rope for each other. So the first year, we're trying to get this thing on track. We're holding the rope. And we came in and went 6-4 and had the first winning season.
Wow.
And everybody was excited because they weren't used to having winning seasons. But that was our worst season. That was just the beginning of holding the rope and getting this thing together.
Right on, right on. So what has, and honestly, let me go back to that. I bet you it's tough to find people who will actually hold the rope when it counts.
Well, it's the hardest thing to find in life, if you think about it. How many times have you been through adversity in your life, or maybe down, or something went wrong, and people turned their backs on you instead of helping you? People that you loved, you thought loved you, people you thought were your friends, and there's been times where I've had, plenty of money through when I was an NFL agent and all that, and you're a millionaire one year, everybody loves you, and then, life goes on and you're not, and then some of those people don't talk to you anymore because you can't do anything for them anymore. They don't hold the rope. They're the ones that'll let it go. And those are people you need to get out of your life because they're not doing anything for you to help you. They're not going to hold that rope. They're going to let you fall, and they sure ain't going with you.
Absolutely. And I think one of the main reasons why we're created this show and having these topics is so we can help these young men and these younger fellas that need some direction, help them find bros that'll hold the rope for them, because it is incredibly important, if you want to be successful, to surround yourself with people who are successful, but not just only that actually will be loyal when it counts. So let's go with question number 2. Why has it stuck with you over the last quarter century, you being a coach? Why has Hold the Rope stuck with you?
Well, Hold the Rope, I still deal with it every day, and it's ironic. One of my players called me the other day, Kellen Lewis, who played at Indiana, I think 2005, 6, 7, way back, a long time ago, and he was the quarterback, the Big Ten Player of the Year, beat Ohio State and all that.
I remember
freshman
Kellen.
year.
Yeah,
Kellen was a great player, but he was my quarterback at Mandarin High. and he took hold of the rope to Indiana at that time.
Okay.
And as a quarterback, as leader of that team, and because we all bought in to hold the rope. Our guys right now, we hold the rope for each other. I just saw those guys at a alumni event a few months ago, and everybody still, we hold the rope, friends. Right. And I'll tell you something happened later in my life. You know, when I lost my wife, and when a lot of other things, and the hurricane in Fort Myers. Man, I mean, I hadn't talked to a lot of these players in years. Every one of them was reaching out to me. The love was tremendous. They're holding the rope for me then. Coach, what do you need? What can we do? How can we help your son? Well, you know, it helped us at a time when we didn't have a lot of family left. You know, Amy had died. It was just my son and I, and we had that football family because they all held the rope for us and came in just to check on us. And, you know, holding the rope in life is not easy. Most people don't do that. You know, most people aren't loyal. Most people aren't. That's why you got to appreciate those. If you have 2 or 3 people in your life that hold the rope for you, usually it's your mama. Mama's always gonna hold the rope for you,
right?
Most of the time,
sure.
Okay. And if you got a wife that hold the rope for you and never quit on you, you know, and you know, and a couple of buddies that do that, you have a great life.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So let's see. Can you share a story from the locker room or on the field where a player truly held the rope for a teammate or yourself?
Well, absolutely. A couple times. There's so many different stories I have between high school, college, NFL, CFL, and that. But I can think of one in particular situation, and it was at the Florida Gators, the year they had the Swamp Kings. Coach Urban Meyer had came in. Coach Zook recruited all those guys, and then Coach Zook got fired and hired Urban Meyer. And Marcus Thomas was, he was the leader of that team. He was the best player on the team. I mean, everybody on the team will tell you that. And he's supposed to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft as a junior. Yeah. But he stayed with his team at Florida and wanted to come back for his senior year. But Urban Meyer had tagged him because said that Marcus Thomas, smokes weed. You know, he smokes marijuana and like that. And Marcus was let to slide sometimes along with a lot of other players that were smoking weed, and that was how it was done back then. And you know, now I'm not sure they even test anymore, but they see it's a medicine now. But at the time, it's something you couldn't do. It's against the rules, whether it's legal or not. And anyways. Marcus ended up, Urban Meyer tagged him as the guy that was the bad guy, the drug addict and all of this, and puts him off the team that he went from being the #1 pick in the draft, definitely #1 defensive tackle, right, all the way to the 4th round, okay? And ironically enough, his teammate, Jarvis Moss, went in that same spot.
I remember all that.
Listen, both of them went to the same team in Denver, the Broncos, and Jarvis Moss at the press conference stands up and says, I think everybody knows that Marcus Thomas is our best player, and we're lucky to have him in the 4th round. Even though I'm your 1st round pick, we're both here, and it's great. And it's, that's how it was. But the point I'm getting at was, I don't know if you remember this, and this is a story no one in the world knows except the people that were involved. They didn't put this on Swamp Kings, so I'll go ahead and tell you right here. Okay, 5 players that I represented, 4 of them in the NFL, all smoked weed together the day Marcus got kicked off the team at Florida, okay? Because they all smoked together, and that's just what it was. But when they went in to take the drug test, Marcus was pegged because Herb had him pegged because he thought it's a power trip. He thought Marcus had the power of the team. He was the captain. Everybody listened to him. So Urban Meyer saw him as a threat. So he found a reason to put him off the team, to get him out of there. After they ran the stretch and they go beat, was it Georgia, Alabama, Auburn. Marcus had 4 sacks, 17 tackles, I think, in the Auburn game. They don't win without him. Okay, so after that game, they have some weaker opponents. That's when they kick Marcus off the team. Well, guess what happens? Those other guys go into coach's office and says, Coach, you kicked Marcus off. We all smoked together. They held the rope for Marcus. Right. They said, we're not going to play. We want to be suspended off the team with Marcus. So Coach Meyer obviously settled that situation down, but it was too late because Marcus was gone and got tagged as a drug addict and a bad person, a character, even though he'd never been arrested his whole life. No, not one arrest. He's not a bad guy at all. I've known him since he was 15 years old. He smoked weed because he has migraines from concussions, and it helped him. So with that said, the other guys held the rope. They went in there and they threatened to say, hey, if we smoke together, that's not fair that he got pegged. And then guess what? They waited for 2 more weeks, and after D. Webb scoops and scores the kick that Jarvis Moss blocked to go scoop it and win the game, they got suspended the next week after that, and they're playing a lesser team. But that's Urban Meyer for you. That's his discipline strategies. But whatever, they held the rope for Marcus, and they went in there and to the coach and stood up for him, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely some wild memories you got there. It looks like you've been around some definitely unique situations for sure.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
you've seen players make the right decisions and the wrong decisions when
All
it
of
comes
them.
to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I've made the right decisions and wrong decisions, and they're all circumstantial and different things. I think that's part of, being human. And so it's just, the football is a crazy situation because football is like life. All the lessons you learn in football and the things that happen, they mirror exactly real life and what happens in the world.
Yeah.
And you learn how to deal with those things. You learn how to put team first, to be unselfish. All the little life lessons you can learn. A lot of kids like me, I didn't have a father. Football was my father and my football coaches. The lessons that I didn't learn at home, the discipline, the all the things you had to learn, my football coach taught me. Football was my father. And there's a lot of kids that are in that situation, and that's why I put so much effort into helping kids that are in single parent households. If I find out a kid plays ball and his dad's in prison, I'm going to pick an effort to go help that kid as a man in the community. And I got one right now I'm helping, actually. And my house has always been a revolving door. Marcus was in my house at some point in high school, and Tony Carter lived with me for a few years in high school. And both of them played together the Broncos, went to the Super Bowl together, and played at Mandarin. It's just funny how God did that for us, put us all in each other's lives at,
No doubt about it.
at certain times. And to this day, it's just helping kids. And that's what makes me so happy to see those guys helping kids now. Like, they both are good fathers. Well, Marcus is a great father, and he's going around helping kids. Tony's coaching college football, helping kids get to college from high school. They're both they're both carrying on the tradition and breaking the cycle of single parent households and prison and all that. No, they're very positive role models. And I think without football, they're not in that situation.
Yeah,
It's not me. It's the life lessons of football and having something to look forward to, having some hope. And that's what
I think a lot of it did have to do with you, though, Coach, and them having the right mentor and the guy who helped them learn what hold the rope really meant. There's a lot of football players out there who aren't doing what they did, and they had different coaches. So I'm going to say, just because I know you and the reason why we're doing this podcast, that I'm gonna lean on saying that more than likely big reason why they are who they are is because you helped them get there, not just the game.
I appreciate that, but it's not me. If it's anybody, it's Jesus Christ, because without Jesus Christ saving me and get me to University Christian High School, where I could go play football and have an opportunity to go to college and play football and beyond, it never would have. None of this would have happened. So I put it. I thank Jesus for that. I'm grateful for it. But there's also other people that were in their lives, that it takes the church, but you put God has a plan for all of us, and He had a plan for those kids and to break that cycle. And so He put me in a position to be able to help them, which is what I do to this day, and to see them do it. But my high school coach, Robbie Pruitt, did that for me. Yeah. That's why I did it for them, because I learned that cycle of positivity and helping and compassion and love and everything Jesus is about.
Yeah.
And so and they're going to continue that on through the next generation, hopefully forever. And that's how you break a cycle and a pattern.
Well, see, what you found is the same thing that I've found, and it's when you find your purpose. And you get your high, so to speak, or your joy in life out of watching other people succeed. And whenever that starts to grow and you see their lives they become fruitful, and you watch their timeline just prove over and over that the stuff that they were instilled back whenever you were helping them, there's nothing better than seeing at least the ground that you towed, the ground that you hoed, so to speak, on that fertile soil, that it was accepted. So,
one of the few times I ever cried in front of my son was when I saw Marcus Thomas and Tony Carter on the Denver Broncos stand on the sideline. First time I went to a game, I just looked at them like, I remember those kids were in my house. I remember they were at Mandarin. I remember they had hard-working moms and grandmas and people that tried to help them, but they had it rough. It wasn't easy. They didn't come up easy. And to see them make it, be millionaires, be positive men, and all that, I'm thankful for God for being in that position to help them.
Absolutely. So in regards to that, let's move on to talking about a little bit of the business side of things. Being that you were a sports agent, let's talk about how does hold the rope, so to speak, how does hold the rope apply to the business side of life, or the business side of things, especially like, let's say, negotiating deals with with athletes, you know, there's highs and lows to it all.
Right. Well, the worst thing I hate about being an agent was the whole business side of running your own business, you know. That's a pain in the neck. But what I loved about it was it's like football. I still had my guys. You have your position group, you know. If you're coaching the running backs, that's your guys within the team. You worry about your little group, your moving part and do your part. Well, my clients that signed with me from different colleges, they were all my guys. That was my group, you know. And I had a group of up to 34 guys at one time, and you know, I think we were on 20 some different teams. But so each game I watched, I had my guy. Like fantasy now, you see your fantasy player out there. That's how it was. It was just reality. Those are my guys. I'm counting on them. We're all counting on each other. And to hold the rope then, I had to hold the rope like crazy because you're on call 24/7. Essentially, an agent is a high-paid babysitter because there's a lot of problems that come around with money, and there's young men getting a lot of money. They got a lot of people coming after them, and you have to protect them. I held the rope for them more then, for sure, than I ever did as a high school coach because everybody was coming after him, and I had to be that no. I had to be the filter.
Wow.
I'm the no guy.
Yeah,
they refer them to me, and yeah, I held the rope for them like that, and you know, they held the rope for each other. When Marcus was already established with the Broncos after being drafted and starting as a rookie, Tony came out the following year from Florida State, and you got a Florida Gator there. Now you got a guy come from Florida State who wasn't drafted. Tony really got screwed there. He was an undrafted free agent because he was little and he had a couple injuries. So he had to earn everything he got. He always has. Everyone's always doubted Tony. He's always proves them wrong. Yeah. But Tony didn't have a bunch of money on a signing bonus like Marcus did. Tony wasn't a millionaire. He was making $275,000 before taxes. So Marcus says, "Hey Tony, why don't you just move into my home?" Like that. So Marcus, I didn't ask him to do that. Marcus on his own invited Tony into his home and let him live there for his whole rookie year for free so that he could help him get on his feet. And then Tony went ahead and made it and played longer than Marcus in NFL. It's just that was holding the rope that late in life.
No doubt, no doubt. So let's see. Can you give us examples of what you would look for in a person who would be a rope holder in your life? What are the qualities that they would have?
Okay, they got to be loyal, and they got to have the most important quality any human being can have. And the most important ability anyone can have is what? Dependability.
No doubt.
Can you count on them? That's what a bachelor's degree is. It shows an employer that you can start something, you can see it through, and you can finish it. That's what a 4-year degree is. You specialize in your master's, but they got to be dependable, they got to be loyal, and they got to be strong and tough. They can't be a quitter. You know, they got to bring the hat, man.
That's right.
If they don't bring the hat or they're not helping you, they're an asset or liability. You know, and I spent a long time in my life helping people that I probably shouldn't have because they definitely didn't hold the rope for me or never would have. And I knew that, but I still always thought I could save them. And only God can save, I can't. And so you got to eventually, it's like the key to motivation. You know, the key to motivation, you eliminate those that aren't motivated on your team.
Yep.
Okay. And same thing with holding the rope. Your circle gets smaller as you get older in life.
No
because
doubt.
if people don't hold the rope, you eliminate them off the team.
Cut them out.
If you got 6 people to hold the rope for you, you got a great life.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Cut out the ones that you know are not going to be there when it really counts. And
unfortunately, that's 90% of people. That's why the 10 are so special, and we live the dime life.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Robin and I, my wife and I, we've gone through several relationships where we've learned that the people we would have thought would have held the rope definitely didn't. And some of the things you can see, look back and you can see the signs. And you learn as you get older what to look for. So that brings me to my next question. And in your experience with coaching specifically, what would be a red flag that a potential friend or teammate might be someone who would not hold the rope when things get tough or painful?
Well, I'm going to tell you, every team has it. People that make selfish penalties, you know. I mean, you make mistakes in football, physical and all that, but people are just selfish. They'll go clip somebody in the back 15 yards away from the ball. I mean, that's just selfish. You hurt your whole team when you do that. If you take cheap shots, you get kicked out of the game, you're hurting your team for the next week. And, you know, you see it every way. And coaches, look for those guys. If you're not chemistry, the good teams have chemistry in the locker room. Everybody holds the rope for each other. And then you got teams that lose, the losing teams, they have selfish players. They're not team first guys.
For sure.
They're going to hold the rope, and their teams, they don't win. You win with guys that hold the rope for each other, and you got people that love each other and care about each other in the locker room, and you come together for one mission, and that's the beautiful thing about football.
Yeah, a lot of the times you see those offensive lines when they're all in gelling together and in sync, man. It's like an unbreakable bond. When you get that, that's a tough unit to break, and you know it's a cool thing to watch when you see men who particularly decide that they're going to trust another man to stand with them when it counts the most.
Right.
And whenever you can do that, you're a blessed man.
Yep, and you got your brothers in the locker room, your coaches keep each other accountable. I mean, if you go on a road trip and you got players that are sneaking out of the hotel and they're going out and partying, when you got a game, that's not holding the rope. You don't win with guys like that.
Right.
And believe me, there's a lot of teams that have players like that right now. That's why they don't win. And coaches, you got to handle. You got to have your foot on that, man. You got to understand your team, the pulse of your team. But the good teams, the bad teams. The secret is this: the good teams are accountable to each other. They hold the rope and they love each other. They care about the guy next to them. If you got the love in the locker room, that's how you win in the toughest sport in the world. Just love. That's all it is.
Makes total sense. So let's talk about this microwave world we live in and social media. How do these younger people who are, you know, they have quick, non-connected relationships, how can they get deeper than just surface level stuff when it comes to finding relationships?
Well, within a team, it's a price you pay together. You make sacrifices, you know. Or we take our team out to Camp Blanding for 2 weeks or 10 days, and we go with 120. We come out with about 65 or 70. Because the guys that don't hold the rope, the guys that aren't tough, or the guys that aren't committed, they quit. You know, and that's fine. That's their decision. The ones that come out there are a team. They love each other. So I think anything is about sacrifice.
Yeah.
And the more you put into something, the harder it is to give it up. You know, it is. So the higher the price you pay, the harder it is to lose. Because we hate to lose. I hate to lose because I did everything I could to keep from losing by preparing. Okay, we outworked everybody in the off season. We outstudied everybody. Our coaches met longer than everybody. We put a better game plan together. All the sacrifice and the time away from our families we make for our team, for our players, it hurts when you lose. I hate to lose. Can't stand it. Yeah, and so, but if you don't put a lot into it, you're not committed, you never sacrifice, losing not that big of a deal, you know. Then, you know, and that's contagious too.
I think, you know, a perfect example of something that is actually current to what I'm dealing with today. You know, I'm helping with a crypto project as the leader of a project called OWIF, and you know, we have a team there who is unified. Like, people are able to rely on the next person to be there during their shift. And you know, at the end of the day, we have something special where we can trust the other person to be there when it counts. But those, you know, it took years and years and years to build a team like that. And you know, there were a lot of people who didn't make the cut. But you know, whenever you do find people that you can rely on, which are few and far between, you really have something strong and powerful. You know, and it's exciting.
Yeah, you know, I first met you. I heard about crypto. I've always heard about, you know, it's a negative word to me. It was. I didn't quite understand it because you hear about the bad guys that ruin it for everybody, that scam people, early stuff with Bitcoin, this, that, and the other. You know, people are apprehensive to do it. You know, and so I was. You know, I always go in and I hope for the best, but I prepare for the worst in anything I do, whether it's football or life. And or any business decision. And with the crypto thing, I wanted to learn more about it and all that. And I see your passion. I've seen that, and I've seen the team you have around you, and I see how hard you work and all that. And it made me excited. I want to be a part of it. I want to jump on that team because I can tell everyone's together. Everyone has a single mission, and you're going to win. You don't lose like that. So I think it's going to be a great project for you.
Well, I appreciate it, and I think a big part of it is being more of a selfless-minded, team-oriented unit. It's we're there for a bigger purpose, and you know, being like you said, crypto is a very scammy. It's just a shady place, and a lot of people are scared to invest in it. So what are we going to do? We're going to be genuine. We're going to be upfront. We're not going to hide anything. As a community that we build online, we're going to let everybody know what's going on, and we're going to show people what it is to have real loyal people around them.
The transparency comes from you being a Christian yourself.
Yeah.
It's God-based. Everyone involved in this, they have a higher power. They're accountable to God. So they're all there. You know, God's watching, and there's no shady people, and that's why it's going to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's again, it's about being real. It's about finding people who will be real with you. And, you know, also you said something about sacrifice. You know, when you have somebody who is willing to sacrifice their time to say good morning to you or whatever it is, even on, we're talking about social media, you know, everybody's going so quick and, you know, things are happening so fast and people aren't really connecting. If you're taking a moment to reach out to somebody, it counts.
Hey, well, look who just calls in. Kellen Lewis.
Oh, for real?
Kellen Lewis. Now, Kellen was a quarterback at Mandarin when I was there my last year. He had one more year, actually. And, you know, Kellen was a great player for me. And, in fact, Kellen Lewis is the reason I didn't get Tim Tebow to come to Mandarin because, and said he should go to Nice because I had Kellen Lewis. He was a great player. I wouldn't bench Kellen for anybody ever. And he was, I knew I was leaving before Kellen's junior year. And so I might be Kellen there.
Yeah, I think he got
That's
dropped.
I'm calling in.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. I don't know if Kellen even knows this story. I already tell him. Hey, Kellen, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I was on my headset.
Hey, it's ironic you called, man, and the other day and sent me that message about holding the rope. But we'll get to that in a second. I was just telling a story about you know, when you were a junior at Mandarin, and you know, I think you're the best quarterback in the state, and you know, and doing a great job at Mandarin High School and a Division I prospect. Well, that's when Tim Tebow was at Trinity Christian, and we played them, and we went over there and put it on him, if you remember that. and he was the tight end, and then at the end of the season, he was transferring to Mandarin because he wanted to be a quarterback. And, you know, I had Kellen Lewis. I'm not benching Kellen Lewis for anybody. So, you know, I called Craig Howard on the phone and say, Coach Howard, who is our former head coach at Mandarin, throws the ball 40 times a game, and I'm more of a running coach. So I said, hey, Nice High School is where I would send my son. That's what I told Bob Tebow. And I didn't know at the time how great Tim Tebow was. I still wouldn't have benched you, but we'd have found a place for him to play, dog. But anyways, so I was loyal to Kellen because I was holding the rope for Kellen. I don't care if Tebow's better or whoever's better. I'm not benching Kellen for anybody. He's bought into the program. But it worked out good for both of them. Kellen gets to go to Indiana, be the Big Ten freshman of the year, I think it was Ohio State on national TV I was watching, and I was so proud of him. And Tebow's at the University of Florida winning the Heisman. It worked out for both of them that way. So it was what God had in store. But what we're talking about here is about the holding the rope. And that was my first theme at Mandarin High School. And Kellen, what we're going to ask you, you sent me a message the other day about holding the rope, and it was just so, it hit me because that's why I'm doing the show about this now, because it's the life lessons that you learn in football. And I was going to ask you, what does hold the rope mean to you, Kellen?
Hold the rope, you got to remember coming in, my brother was there when there's a guy named Bryce Carter that came in that was all world. And so I'd heard all these stories. So when I got there, hold the rope just meant, and hearing about Chris Anderson, when you hear certain names and you come into a program that's already on its way, hold the rope just meant don't let down guys that came before you. Don't let them down. So I remember, as Bruno tells his story, he's got to remember, we had a all-state running back by the name of Brian Dennison, and I came behind a guy named Joey Winters. So hold the rope just meant, you know, do your responsibility, whatever that is, whatever coach asks you for that week, just do that. And you know, I hate to say it like Bill Belichick, you know, just do your job. So I think it's an aspect that's lost a little bit. Cause I remember, I don't know if you remember, Coach, but there was a game, I was about 3 weeks in starting, and Tony was spatting, Dennison was spatting, Marcus was spatting, and you told me, what are you doing?
Yep.
I'm about to spat. You said,
nope.
You got to get your name on the wall first, son. I mean, you
got to earn the spats.
That was how you did it. You want to wear a visor, you want to have this number, you have to put in the work first. And, you know, I just worry about what today with the, you know, everything that's going on with college football and money, some guys feel a little entitled. I remember being a sophomore and just not wanting to lose a game for those upperclassmen. I don't want to be the reason why we lost today. So, it's a great life lesson. I don't think, I hate to say that, the hold the rope term literally means like a tug of war. If you're not pulling your side, it makes it that much more difficult.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And that's a good analogy right there. I forgot about that actually, but we had a sign, how to be a spat man. Because we have guys stay on the sideline with all these wristbands in, all taped up. They're not playing it down. That drives me crazy. I'm like, no, you gotta earn. You gotta look good. You play good. You gotta practice good and do all that. So you gotta earn those spats. And Kellen, I told Kellen he wasn't allowed to spat. His name is, you gotta do something first.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta go make all state. You're a spat man. Yeah, you can be starting quarterback, but hey, you ain't made no plays then.
There you go.
But guess that worked out.
Going into the next season, it's like, hey, I want to be a little bit more valuable. I want to be somebody that when guys come in, they want to play like me. You know, I think a lot of people, and like Nick Saban talks about it, want to say they went to Alabama. I just want to be a part of Mandarin and just start at Mandarin. For me, I want them to talk about me how they talk about Joey Winters. And I remember that was the big thing I was chasing, was how I watched film and I saw how good Joey was. I was like, I want to, it sounds kind of crazy at the time, but like, I want people to forget about Joey Winters. I want people to talk about me.
Right. And they did. We love Joey, but hey, Kellen Lewis that was it, man. All state, all everything. You achieved mission accomplished on that one for in college and in life and all that, man. So very proud of you, buddy.
Thank you, Coach. Yeah, it's like I said, you got to remember the culture you built there was, and you got to remember even after you left our senior year, it was coming in freshmen, believing certain things and thinking they should start, and going back to film, like, hey, you're not BG, you're not Dennison, you're not Marcus Thomas, you're not Kyle Knox, you're not. I mean, there's a lot of like, hey, you're not them yet. You got to don't just throw on the jersey. And think because they played well the last 3 years that we're just going to come in and play well.
Right. Because they had to lay that foundation through sacrifice. When those guys got there, man, Mandarin hadn't had a winning season. Like, we go to down and dirty camp, they thought Mandarin was in Miami. They didn't know we're from Jacksonville. Yep. And everybody in the country knows where Mandarin High School is now, don't they? And that's why I was just so proud of the other night when I went to the Mandarin game. Even though they lost to IMG Academy, you know what? I was just so proud to see 10,000 people out there, coach coming in a helicopter from Florida State, and just the atmosphere. Like, we built that. We're a foundation. We started that, and it's just built all the way to the whole next level now. We started that, and it makes me very proud to see where it's at now and continues to go. It's a national program now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I have people that call me, I got a friend in Chicago who asked me the same question. When Carson Beck and those guys won, I was like, hey, I remember when going to the playoffs wasn't a thought, and then by the time
playoffs, no way. Yeah, exactly.
By that point, I mean, when you go out and just say, "Hey, we should be able to run through these people," that's kind of the mentality that you built. That where we're not going to be people's homecomings anymore.
That's right. The joke's over. Now, those other shirts said, "Mandarin football, the joke's over."
I remember
yes, sir.
When you built that junior year schedule, we played everyone on the north side. We're not going to duck any. Y'all said that those are the best teams. Let's go play them.
Yeah, the reason I did that, Kellen, was when I got my first year at Mandarin, I was an assistant, and I remember Coach Howard went and put the schedule up in the locker room. So I couldn't believe it. Like, the players came over, they said, "Oh no, we got to play Reigns. Oh no, we got to play Reebok. We got to play First Coast." They already counted like 6 or 7 losses. I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" I said, the first thing I'm going to do is change. I said, when I leave Mandarin High School, they're going to put their schedule up and say, "Oh no, we got to play Mandarin," and that's where it's at.
That's awesome.
I said, we're not afraid of heights. We'll go across the bridge. No problem.
There you go. I remember, like I said, we scheduled all of the
on purpose.
We played the Rams, we played First Coast, and we played Jackson. There was no, y'all said these are the best teams. We can't compete with them. Let's go out there and find out.
And then we would beat Ed White. Then now we're in the playoffs. Yeah. Now we're the team.
Exactly. It's a different mentality, and I think some people, you built a culture of competing. And I remember when I first got there, having to compete with Stephen Eggman. So it's like, if you're not willing to compete, if you think that you're just because you transferred and you handed something, you're at the wrong program. And I think that's what you did a good job of. Is the next set of guys that came in was, oh no, you got to earn it.
Yeah, competition's the best coach. Competition's the best coach. It makes everybody better.
And you got to realize during that junior season, switching that spread, the toughest competition we saw most of the time was our defense. From you know, you got to remember Marcus Thomas leaving, Chris Anderson leaving. There's a bunch of guys.
Well, you had, I mean, we had like 4 NFL guys over there.
I want to prove that I should have been playing. That's a great mentality to have.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. We sent 34 kids to college, and 5 future NFL players were on your high school team. So that's amazing to think back.
I remind people that all the time, how many guys I played with. And they're like, wait, yeah, man. I mean, you got to remember, C.J. Spiller was down the road. Tim Tebow was down the road. I said, but we didn't duck anybody. I mean, we made a schedule. Anyone that wants to come play us, come play us.
Turn the arrow.
That's right. Everybody had players, but you know, we had a special group.
Yeah.
The difference in our team and other teams is we paid that price together, going out to Camp Blanding and sacrifice for each other, and we're on the same page. And we'd hold the rope for each other, and we loved each other. You know, the black kids, the white kids, everybody. You know, we got along. Yeah, we cared about each other. That was the key.
And I do remember that was the first time I've been in a real camp. That's my first kind of example of it. It was kind of a 2-a-day, but we were there all summer. You know, that's the first time you got to be with these guys. I mean, these guys are kind of just as important as your family, because on Friday you don't want to let anybody down. And I think, like I said, I think you built a culture of a lot of guys held each other self-accountable out there on the field. There were some times that coach didn't necessarily say anything, but I had a rough game against Ed White one year. He didn't have to say much to me. I mean, I was hearing it from Dennison, I was hearing it from Marcus, I was hearing it from Tony, I was hearing it from everybody like, hey, get it together. You know, you gotta step up. We need you tonight. And I learned that first from my dad. If you start teaching an atmosphere and a family that everyone holds everybody else responsible, you have to. It's better because you do less coaching. There's self-coaching going on the field, and that's kind of where you want to be at.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
You hold other guys accountable.
No doubt about it, man. But hey, Kellen, we got to run out of time here. But I was going to ask you before you go. I remember last time we were together, you talked about some crypto dealings that you had and such when you were in Toronto, gave some money, and you know we do a little crypto project. I'll inform you about it, and Jared's on it. But what was your experience with crypto? If you tell Jared, because I want to have Jared try to see if he can help you out with that.
The first thing I learned was, again, that friend in Chicago who's, you know, his dad's one of those board of trade guys up there in the futures market. People are a little bit scared and confused about it, but if they can understand a little bit that, as he explained to me, crypto is not much different than what we call credit. Credit is the belief of the value of the dollar. A lot of things have value. Cars, jewelry has that value because it's the belief of what the value is. I found crypto to be self-fulfilling because it's one of those things that can make money without you actually physically having to work to do it. And looking at what I've seen with, you know, the market and everything that's going on, I don't see it being that far off from being what he described as me as like a stable coin. I think a lot of people see the volatility but don't understand how much it's grown in the last decade. So I'm excited about it. I've seen NFL contracts where guys have it built into their contract. I think people have to understand technology and finance changes every 2 or 3 decades, and people are gonna have to pay attention to understand it is coming, and I'm a little bit excited for it to see where it can go and see, you know, if it can get fully regulated. Then again, what's the difference between that and credit? You know,
credit's about your reputation, and I think this is about the same thing. It's about who's behind it, who's behind the coin, and when you got a bunch of solid men behind it that are doing the right things, good intention, it's going to be a success.
Correct, just like any bank. I mean, some of these banks will believe in putting their money in the bank, but some of these people don't have your best interest. And we've seen through the lawsuits through the years, Bank of America, et cetera. Hey, I mean, it is about, like I said, it's about who's behind it.
That's right. I remember, always put your money on Coach Bruno when it's crunch time. I'm all in on this crypto.
Always, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, man, I got to run. I'm going to get with you soon, Kellen, all right? Thanks for taking the call.
Yes, sir. Hey, y'all take care.
See you, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kellen Lewis.
He's absolutely right about the whole crypto thing. It's all about, and you both said it, it's all about reputation, who is backing the project, who is putting in the work, and who's being, upfront and honest about what's going on. You know, there's no shady stuff going on. There's no people hiding things and all of that. But let's wrap up this hold the rope. I've got a couple more questions. Just to wrap it up, being that we're all about fatherhood with Bring the Hat, how does hold the rope actually extend to being a dad? I know the answer to this, but I want to hear from you. I know you're a great father.
Well, you know.
Let's talk about holding the rope as a dad, and how do you talk to your kids about it?
Here it is. Holding the rope as a father, well, first of all, as a husband, it's hard. You know, no marriages are easy. You know, but you can't run out on your family because you're not getting along with your parent, and you got to respect each other and all that. So you got to hold the rope as a role model, first of all, because that's the only dad that my kids are going to see. I'm not going to have another man raising my kids. So whatever I do, that's how my son's probably going to become as a father, you know, and all that. So I want to be a good example. So I never would yell at his mom or fight with his mom in front of the kids. We'd always keep that private in any of our discussions. And I think that was kind of holding the rope and sticking it out through some tough times, you know, ups and downs in our marriage. And both of us were good parents and held the rope for our kids. If it didn't work out with us, that's fine. We were both good parents and love our kids. But the part of it with your kids is, it's hard. I mean, I've been hard on other people's kids as a coach. I mean, my first name's Richard. They call me Coach Dick because I was hard on them now. Marcus Thomas, as on the poster when he got drafted, the best thing that happened to me is Coach Dick because I was really hard on him because I had to be. I knew what it took. But sometimes you let up on your own kids, you know, and I was a little guilty of that. I spoiled my daughter a little bit more than I should have, you know, and let them get away with it a little bit more. And, you know, that's not holding the rope as a parent when you are, you know, you're doing everybody else's kids, you know, taking care of them and teaching them the right things, but not always, you know, with your own kids. So I made a point with my son, especially because he was my second, and I got, you know, I ended up getting single custody of him. And when I did, like, I made sure that, you know, I wasn't his buddy. I was his father. As much as I love him, as much time as we spent together, he understood. Like every day, I was teaching him a life lesson about how to be a father based upon the Bible and how what's right and what's wrong, and you know what would God want, and everything's set up in God's plan. If you'll just follow it, it's easy. It's just you know, a lot of people don't want to listen to it or read the Bible and raise their family based upon a faith-based home. And you know, the more it took God out of schools and out of homes, you know, the worse society got. But I think it's been a turning point. We're getting our you know, our eyes are back open now, and we're back on track and putting God back first where he always belonged, and helps the families. That's how we become a better country. Make America great again. Make America the greatest country there ever was. You know, that's when God's first.
That's right. That's right. Putting God first. And I think that takes me to the last question, possibly. But if you were going to tell your younger self one thing about building lifelong relationships where people will hold the rope, what would it be?
You got to show them you care. First of all, you have to be unselfish, and you have to do by example. I've done things for kids and for other human beings that put myself out, and if I said I was going to do it, I did it, and I was there for them when other people weren't or whatever. And you build that commitment you make to them early on. It sticks forever. You keep your so what I would do is, I mean, I don't regret any of the things I've done wrong in life. You know, I'm forgiven. You know, I'm a Christian and that. But I do regret some of the good things I did for the wrong people. Yeah. You know, if I could have that back and help some other people, I would. But you know what? At the end, I never give to get. I give to give, and that's just who I am. So other people's success makes me feel really good, and I wish everyone the best. But I would tell myself to you can't trust everybody, you can't help everybody, you can't save everybody. You know, so I would be careful about the people I helped back in the early days.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when it comes to me and what I've found, what you just explained, it all goes back to who and what are we putting first? We're putting God first, and then we're putting our family and our friends right there after that. And you know, making sure that we have our priorities in order on a day-to-day basis, and we're going to be successful. We're going to bring the hat at life.
That's right. That's right. Bring the hat every day.
Yeah. And so, that's it. That's it for our episode number 1. Thank you for coming. Stay tuned. We got more episodes coming weekly, and we look forward to seeing you. We've got some guests that you're not going to want to miss, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of different things under the sun. So, yeah. Coach, you got anything else?
No, we're trying to get that Tim Tebow on here, the guy we were just talking about with Kellen back then, you know, so we'll reach out to him and some really interesting people. And the main thing we're worried about is people with, you know, who are good fathers now. And I meant to bring that up with Kellen. You know, Kellen has 3 kids now. He's a great father. And I love it. And we'll talk to him again.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Tebow just became a father, you know, so that changes you. You know, I see him, you know, he's going to be an excellent father. And I just think that, hey, man, in order to be a good dad, it starts with I think it starts with having a faith-based belief. You got to have faith, family, and football in that order. Get your priorities straight. Okay? Faith, family, football. Faith, family, freedom. That's how I live my life on that.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, I love it. Hey, guys, see y'all next time.